We see a rather mixed picture of the global economy. While the US economy continues to expand, the growth forecasts for the Eurozone have been reduced. We will talk about the global economic outlook with Stefan Schneider of Deutsche Bank Resarch. Mr. Schneider, what does the DBIX tell us about the world economy?
Quite surprisingly, the DBIX actually inched up by 1/10 of a percentage point in October, but that was more or less driven by the US, where we saw a strong rebound in the Purchasing Manager Index. If we look at Europe, the German IFO index continued its decline, and the results from Asia were rather mixed, somewhat weaker in China, a little bit better in Japan. So overall, the world economy seems to slow down a little bit compared to the momentum we have seen in the summer month.
Why can't, for example, China or even the Eurozone profit from the growth in the US?
It's just not enough. I mean, actually, Germany is benefiting quite a bit. German exports to the US are still growing at a 10% clip, whereas if you look at the BRIC economies as a whole, our exports are actually shrinking. But there is too much drag on the global economy, like from India, from Brazil, from Russia, and especially the Eurozone. And it's not enough if one part of the world, namely the US, grows very, very strongly. And overall, if you look at the size of the US economy, their share of imports is actually not that high.
Okay. What is good for the global economy is the lower oil price. So who can profit most, and what influence does the oil price have on the global economy?
I mean, that's obviously a positive impulse, and overall it could, if the decline of around 20% we have seen against the previous years maintained in 2015, which we expect to happen with oil price staying below $90 per barrel, that could add 0.4 percentage points to global GDP. And the benefits will be most strongly felt in the biggest energy importers, which is China and India. Will help a little bit in the Eurozone, but by now it probably will almost have a minimal effect in the US, because the US is not only the biggest oil consumer in the world, but also by now the biggest oil producer. So you have the negative payoff there.
In some European countries, the growth prospects in Europe have been as much as halved. What are the reasons behind that?
I mean, first of all, the global economy, which is sluggish. Global trade is not picking up. It's still hovering around 2.5–3% year on year, contrary to expectations. The Eurozone has been sluggish in the second quarter. GDP growth stagnated, and in particular in Germany, we are seeing that the external side is also leaving the negative external side is also leaving its imprint in the domestic economy, namely investment spending, and therefore, as you said, we have cut our forecast for 2015 for German GDP from 1.5 to just 0.8%.
The European Commission is planning a stimulus package worth 300 billion euros. What could that help?
If the money was there, and if it was fresh money, and if it was implemented very quickly, it could have a marginal positive effect. The concern is that the package at the end of the day will fall short of expectations. It will be basically reassigning money which would have been spent otherwise in terms of other projects. So overall, we don't think that this will be a game changer.
Okay. We are still feeling the consequences of the last financial crisis, and now the ECB is planning how to avoid a new crisis or any further future crisis. They are now the watchdog over the Eurozone banks. What do you think? Will it be possible to avoid new crises with the measures they have put on?
I mean, one has to say that the ECB has adopted a very thorough approach, and that it's obviously superior to national supervisors who, also have national interests in their minds. So I think it's a step forward. I think just from a kind of complexity perspective, the financial system is so complex that even the kind of most careful supervisor cannot rule out that there will be some corners in that system which might, where a new crisis might embark. So I think we can be confident that the ECB is doing what it can and that it will improve the situation. But there is no kind of system in the world which can guarantee that there won't be any crisis.
Thank you very much, Mr.
You're welcome.
Schneider. We will talk about the new measures of the ECB later on, and as well about the policy of the central banks worldwide. Please check out our website dw.de/English/Made in Germany.